My name is Lindsay Mulheron Leiden from Mulheron Banjos, and I've recently had a bunch of people asking me about how I get the tone and the clarity and the warmth and the plunkiness of my instruments, and this dynamic range and the sensitivity and the playability of them. So I decided to do a little video here, kind of maybe just going over a few things and describing, what I do when I'm my instruments to get that tone. First thing I think is to probably just play a little something here for you, so that you can get a sense of it. So here goes. So if you can hear there's a really nice warmth. When I play a little louder, it gets a little louder. When I play softer, it gets softer. But the tone on both of those volumes is a good tone. That's really what you're trying to achieve. You want this big range where the instrument can handle being played really loud, being hit hard. It can also handle be very, very light touch, very sensitive, and that the tone on all those ranges is a good tone. And then also warmth, plunkiness, but clarity. That's another thing that I always strive for. You can make a banjo loud. It's not really necessarily hard, but being able to get a banjo that has a nice warm sound, but still can hear yourself in a big jam, that's something that I definitely shoot for. And that's a tricky thing to accomplish. You can get a quiet, warm one, but then you won't hear yourself, so you're always kind of balancing the two. So this is the newest version that just came out. This is my Napoleon model with a racer model with a Napoleon tone ring. It's the new tone ring I've just developed. And the tone ring has a lot to do with it, but it's not everything. So I don't want people to get too hung up on the tone ring specifically. It's a lot more about the entire instrument and how it's all put together that create that sound and that tone. Obviously the first thing is tone and sound and quality, and the second thing is playability, in my opinion. This is all my opinion, so other people have their ideas and ways as well, and that's great. One of the things that I do, I'll just start up here, is I do a steeper peg head angle. So I bring this peg head back further, and that pulls the strings back this way. It's kind of like what the tailpiece does down here, but it pulls them back here. So I have the combination of a steeper angle here, but it can't be too steep because that makes it brittle. And then I have the tailpiece, adjustable tailpiece here, and I can crank this down or loosen it depending. So you have a lot of control here as well. Another thing that I do, it's a 25.34 scale. I pretty much only build those, and I like that for two reasons. One, it puts the bridge in a really good spot on the banjo head. The middle of the banjo is a dead spot. You don't ever want to have your bridge in the center. You want to offset just a little bit. The other thing that I like about that scale length is my left hand doesn't have to reach out really far or as far. So over a long period of time, my shoulder doesn't hurt as much. And the third thing I really like about it is it plays really great in G, D, and A. You can get instruments that are a little longer that play really great in G, but struggle a little bit in D and A. But then you can have a shorter neck, like an A scale, which sounds great in A and D, but then G can kind of lose a little bit. So I feel like I build like ultimate full-time instruments, like the one that you can play any setting, on stage, record, back porch. I'm trying to accommodate all the different variations in playing. The other thing I'll go back to is the tailpiece. So this is what's called the breaking angle, and it goes to the back of the rim, or the back of the bridge to the tail. If you can create a bigger angle there, it presses the strings down on top of the bridge, which press the bridge down on top of the head more rigidly, which in turn transfers energy. And that's the story right there. We're trying to transfer energy. We want it to be as alive as it possibly can be, where you just walk by and it starts vibrating. And these do that, and it's just really, really a fun part of it. The other thing I do is I do an 11/16 bridge. What that does is it gets in my setup, I have it to where it's got a nice, really low left hand, a high end for your claw hammer and drop thumb, which can be tricky to achieve. You're asking a lot from this these two setups. You want it low here and high here. But I do 11/16 bridge. That puts me a little bit over an 1/8 inch on the 12th fret. You have an option to go lower or higher at that point, 5/8, 3/4, whatever. But the taller bridge you can do, it creates even a better break angle. So the combination between that and the head really achieves a lot. The other thing is I put goatskin heads, medium thickness goatskin heads on all my banjos. They will settle. There is a stigma against goatskin heads, which is a little bit unfortunate. Yes, they do vary a little bit, but generally they settle. The trick is you don't want to tighten it, you want to heat it. So if you get an issue where it's a little loose, you don't want to just start cranking down on it, because then when you go back into a warm environment, it could bust. And if it does, no big deal. Get a new one. It's not the end of the world. But you want to heat it with like a hair dryer. I've held them up next to the fire at jams and stuff like that before. That works really well. I also put tone controllers in all my instruments. And this is a knob. I get it from Drum Set. And you twist this knob, and this little felt pad presses up against the back of the head. And you have complete control over that. So you can crank it really, really, really tight, or you can loosen it a lot. And you can do that in real time as you're playing. So if I'm at a dance, playing a dance or something, I need a little bit more volume, I just open it up just a little bit. If I'm in a recording studio, volume's not an issue. I really want a nice, really sweet, dead, plunky tone, I can crank it down. It's really a great feature. That came from my percussion days. I have a music degree in classical percussion, and that was a big part of that. So then I'll go to head tensioning. Head tensioning, the instrument has a range that it sounds the best in. It likes a certain range. It's not about just cranking it super tight or loosening it a lot. You want to start really low and go really, really high, and at some point it will come alive, and that's where it wants to be. Generally, I loosen them a little bit. I think that a really, really high, tight head is going to give you a really bright, shrill, trebly sound. I think that's a lot of people tighten their heads really, really tight. In my opinion, I don't really like them that tight. What I like is a loose head and a tight tailpiece. That gives you the warmth, and then you get the distinction and the clarity through the tailpiece and the projection, which is really what we want there. Those are some of the features. I do a two-way adjustable truss rod in all of mine, so you can adjust your relief, your neck relief. And yes, this is the new Napoleon tone ring. I offer 3 tone rings. I do a hollow copper tone ring, I do a Dobson tone ring, and I do the Napoleon tone ring. This tone ring has just been, I'm really impressed by how the range that it's given me, and the sustain. That's a really big one that I've noticed. It's just this like opened up with this full volume. So all that being said, I'm playing a little song. Hey, you're back. Thanks so much for listening.